Hello and welcome to DFS Express. This is Express Live, and it is Sunday, January 18th, and we will be doing a college basketball daily fantasy um, advice video here. And I am Jared Kimball,
I am
uh,
Josh Markowitz.
and we are. Um, I am co-owner of a site called DFS Express, and Josh is a guest analyst here to help out with college basketball. Um, so last night we had a really, really good slate for college basketball, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Um, there was a lot of great games, and actually, a lot of them ended up being blowouts. So, What were some of the games you were surprised about, Josh?
I was kind of surprised about Duke and Louisville. Yeah, Louisville is not a great shooting team, but at home, I expected them to play a little bit better. Coach K's move to the zone really did work to stifle the Louisville offense. And then again, Arizona and Utah, I was expecting Arizona to win it in McHale, but they just really took it to Utah last night. Rondé Hollis Jefferson shut down DeLon Wright, at least as a scorer, after about the first 4 minutes of the game. And no, I was really not expecting it to be quite that big a blowout.
Yeah, definitely. I did not expect those two games to be blowouts either, and I was really disappointed with Louisville's performance. I ended up picking Rozier. Um, he started the first half out pretty bad, but he ended up getting 25, which was decent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he kind of came on towards the end of the game, hit a couple threes, and that helped him kind of hit close towards his value last night. But still, just really surprising how well Duke's defense did play. And then, I mean, Jahlil and Emile on the other end for Duke. Yeah, Jahlil did not hit anywhere close to his value because he didn't get a ton of rebounds, but they were just so efficient putting the ball in the basket from on their post moves. And it's been something that's been going on all season for Duke.
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't fall in the Jaleel or Montrez Harrell trap
I mean,
because
Harrell wasn't too bad last night just because he got so many rebounds, but he did end up getting close to 30 points.
yeah. Um, and then late last night, I my lineup did decent. I cashed. I got 225, so I hope everybody else cashed that did use the lineup, and I barely cashed in NBA too, which was good, but um,
Cash is still cash.
that is true. I had three guys hit 30. I had Michael Qualls for Arkansas,
He
Robert
and Bobby
Brown.
Portis just killed it.
Yeah, Bobby Portis was an animal. Gary Payton got 40. Chris Dunn 43. Um, for that slate, I didn't have Portis, Dunn, or Payton, but I had Perry Ellis who got 32 also. So not a bad night. I was kind of disappointed with LaDonte Henton. Don't know really what happened there. Do you,
Yeah, I was surprised by that. Creighton's front court is not the stoutest in the world, but Chris Dunn was just not a ton of points, but at least for Chris Dunn, but the rebounds and the assists, he was almost had a triple double. I mean, you're gonna hit value with that.
yeah, I think it was the problem with LaDonte Henton. I think was just that Carson DeRozier's was hitting almost all of his shots, and then they had
And
another
they gave him the
guard.
post touch. Yeah, they gave him the post touches instead of Ladonta, and it happens.
Yeah, and then I think another guard was doing well, so I think that was just the reason why LaDonte Henton didn't do that well. I mean, 24 is not bad, but for his price, it wasn't good. But
Yeah.
it didn't kill me too much. And the great thing about my lineup, I think, was that the two cheapest guys I had Michael Correa at 4.7 and Trey Dempsey at 6.2. Those were two of my three cheapest guys, and they were the ones that did the worst. So I think that was the key to why the lineup cashed. If it would have been, one of my more expensive guys that would have ended up doing that, then I think that would have probably been the problem with um, my lineup if it didn't cash.
Yeah,
So
and Mathiang was your other real cheap guy, and man, he basically hit his value, but it wasn't pretty.
yeah. That was in the early games, but yeah, that was fine for my early team too. Um, but you know what? Let's get right into it. We have a four-game slate, and when you click on it on FanDuel, you're not very enticed because it's just a four-game slate. Um, but actually, I like these games. It actually looks like a fun day. We have four games that are all in the 140s in their over-unders.
Yeah, not a
And
single team on this slate plays at a below average pace. There's going to be points to be had. I worry about blowouts in a couple of the games a little bit, but there will be points scored.
yeah, I totally agree. But let's just start off at 1 o'clock. So just 43 minutes from now. Uh, the Big Ten will have its face-off between Indiana and Illinois. Indiana's 13-4, 3-1 in conference, and then Illinois is 12-6, and they're 2-3 in conference. Illinois is favored by 4.5. That's the line, and then it's a 142 over/under, which is third in over/unders for today on the slate, and it's going to be played in Champaign. So um, Illinois has a little bit of advantage in this game. Um, Very average teams. Indiana has a good offense, and they have a very fast pace.
And a
Um,
very terrible defense.
yes, bad defense. Um, and injuries of note, we have forward Ravonte Rice is out for 4 to 6 weeks for Illinois.
And he's
Um,
been out since before the Maryland game last week.
so he is definitely someone that you're not going to want to go for, obviously. And on the Indiana side, let me try to get this right. This will be good.
Henner Mosquera
Hannah,
Perea.
there we go. Hannah Mosquera Perea will be out for Indiana. So if you can get some forwards for Indiana that would probably instead of him, that might be a good value play. But let's start with Illinois. Who do you like for Illinois?
I really like Nana Egwu today, Illinois' best post player. Yeah, he has not been great offensively the last couple games, but he's found a ways through rebounds, through blocks and steals to hit about 15 points. I'm not quite sure what his price is today, but if he's anywhere remotely cheap, I think he's a good play. With no Hunter Mosquera Perea in there for Indiana. Indiana, again, not a great defensive team. I think Nana Egwu is a guy that can do well for Illinois. And then also looking to fill the Ravonte Rice void because Illinois just relied so heavily on him before his injury. I think one of Kendrick Nunn or Malcolm Hill could be a decent play.
Yeah.
Kendrick Nunn, in the 3 games since he's been out, Kendrick Nunn, he only took 6 shots in the Maryland game, but Malcolm Hill put up 28 in that game. He couldn't miss, so they were feeding him. But in the past 2 games, Kendrick Nunn has taken his most shots of the year, 13 in one game and 14 in the other. So he's getting more usage. And again, Malcolm Hill's at a higher usage than this. And just against a bad Indiana defense, there's opportunities to get scoring here. But Nana Egwu is still my top play.
Yeah, I think Egwu, if you're trying to fit someone in there cheap he's at only 5.5K. So on a slate like this, I think he is a good play. Obviously, you mentioned, you know, um, that he's definitely going to get a lot of playing time, and I do like him. There's other guys that I like more, but I think that's a good pick. And I totally agree with you with Malcolm Hill and Nunn. Indiana is bad defensively, and they're not good at defending guards. Um, and James Blackman for Indiana is a terrible defender. So I think um, Kendrick Nunn is going to be guarded by James Blackman. Um, so I would go with Kendrick Nunn, as you mentioned.
Yeah, Malcolm Hill will probably draw Robert Johnson.
Yeah. So I definitely think that Kendrick Nunn's the play. You mentioned he's getting more shots. I like that, but I'm not a fan of Malcolm Hill. I think he would still be a good play. He's 6.4. Nunn is 5.9. Um, you know,
There's some good value on the Solana team because Ravonte Rice he was the high price guy.
exactly. So I wouldn't mind. Um, maybe even going both of them on the slate because there's a chance at two other blowouts. So maybe a chance at going both of them wouldn't be too bad, but I wouldn't do it personally. Also, there's two more guards. Cosby and Starks have been getting decent playing time, and actually Aaron Cosby, who's 5.2. Last game got 30 against Northwestern. His three was falling, um, and he got 19 points, had 5 rebounds, 2 assists. Um, so if you're looking for another cheap guy, Aaron Cosby maybe. The problem with Starks is he's been really cold lately. He hasn't been hitting his shots.
And
Um,
he's the guy that they kind of use as their passer facilitator now that Ravonte Rice, excuse me, is not there. I mean, Cosby, again, good option just because he does get some volume off the bench. But I think with Nunn and Hill being as cheap as they are, they're better plays.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Starks and Cosby, they're their main three shooters. So if their threes are falling, they're good plays, but there's no way to know if that's going to happen. You can just kind of hope to project what will happen. But definitely for this side, we like Nana Egwu and Kendrick Nunn. Switching over to the Indiana side, um, there's some good plays. I like Troy Williams. What do you think about him?
I think Troy Williams is, again, a decent play just because Indiana's kind of a weird team. They rely very much on their guards. They don't use their big guy a lot. So Troy Williams is kind of in that flex forward position that he does a little bit of everything. And again, with no Mosquera Pereira to throw it down to, I don't trust. He'll always look good off the bench in short stints. I don't know how much he's going to play tonight. He didn't have a good game even after Mosquera Pereira went out last game. And Zeitzloff, again, is okay. Troy Williams is going to get the bulk of any interior touches. So, again, depending on the price, I'm not sure what it is. I think Troy Williams can be a good play. Blackman is actually my favorite play from Indiana today, though.
Yeah, Troy Williams is 6.7.
Yeah, that's pretty good price.
Yeah, why do you like
But
Blackman?
because I'm expecting this game to be pretty high scoring, and I think Blackman, not Yogi, is the one that gets the majority of the shots today, and he generally does have a higher usage. I just think this is a game that he goes off for over 20 points.
Yeah, Blackman's only 100 more than Yogi Ferrell, and I totally agree. I think I'd rather go him than Yogi Ferrell. I've actually relied on Yogi Ferrell twice already this season, and he's let me down both times. So I would not use him in cash games probably because he doesn't really put up a lot of points, um, and you never know if the assists are going to come. But with Blackman, there's going to be assured points and a high over/under, a game that's probably going to be in the 70s, maybe 80s. Um, I definitely like Blackman. I agree with that.
And on a
Um,
slate with two potential blowouts for your expensive guys, this is a game that should be pretty close. So going with your expensive guy in a game like this, I think Blackman's the best expensive play in this game.
Yeah, the thing is too, he's not even that expensive because he's only 7.1. So
Ooh, that's not even bad then. I really like that.
yeah, so he's actually the most expensive person in this game. So this might be one to target since there's a lot of value.
There is a lot of guys I like in this game.
Yeah, so I definitely go. My plays from this would be at forward. I like Troy Williams, and then we like James Blackman. Not a fan of Robert Johnson either. With Perea out, maybe Colin Hartman. If you want to go cheap, maybe Emmett Holt might be a good play. Um, I probably wouldn't do it, but I can see people doing it because obviously,
If I would go somebody, I would go Holt just because I like what I have seen in some of the short stretches of Indiana games I've watched. There's been a couple stretches where he's just taken over for a couple minutes at a time, but again, it's inconsistent and they just generally don't use a ton of post touches anyway. They're such a guard oriented team that I don't think it's worth it.
okay. Um, yeah, they're gonna get more minutes, and usually the saying is minutes equal points, but not in the maybe not in the case of Indiana just because their guards are so good.
This
Um,
is going to be a very perimeter oriented game, just
yeah,
in general.
yeah, I agree. So moving to our second game on the slate, out in the Big East, another game in Illinois. It'll be a home game for DePaul. They're 9-9, 3-2 in conference, so they've actually done pretty good in their conference so far, even though they have had a poor season. And they will be facing off a pretty good team in St. John's, who's 12-4, but they've really struggled in conference, 1-3. Um, Two pretty good offensive teams. St. John's 48th, and DePaul is 80th. And St. John's is really good at defense. They're 37th. Um, but the problem with DePaul and why they've been so bad this year is defense, and they're 275th. So that's just hideous. The pace isn't going to be that bad because DePaul plays fast, but um,
And St. John's plays above average too. I mean, not quite as fast as DePaul, but still, you're not going to be accused of the Virginia BC pace from yesterday.
yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't mind the pace at all in this game. Um, as I mentioned, home DePaul, which helps a little bit. We were worried a little bit about blowout, but since it's at home, I'm not too worried about it. What about you?
I am kind of worried about the blowout here. Just, I think St. John's has been kind of down a little bit, but I think trip out to Allstate in Chicago is what they need. Get them ready. They got a big game against Duke next weekend, and I think they take it to DePaul today. I'm not really excited about anything. Just the DePaul defense is so bad that I don't trust it. Even at home, this has all the makings of a team that's just overmatched.
Okay, so the line obviously St. John's is favored at 6, and then the overrun.
That's conservative, in my opinion. I would expect them to break that, and I'm surprised it's that high. I mean, that low, just from being on the road, I guess, and the recent struggles of St. John's. But I'm not worried about it.
There you go. You have your bet for the day. Put in your money for that. Josh just called it. 146 over under, so it's second for today, behind UNC Virginia Tech. Um, so I was looking at this game. It's at 2:30, obviously. I like Chris Abekpa for St. John's. We'll start with St. John's. But I'm having a lot of trouble with who I think is going to do well. So, what are you thinking for this game?
This is a tough one again, just because they can spread the ball around. I know Sir Dominic Pointer and D'Angelo Harrison have been really expensive most of the time, and I'm guessing they still are very expensive.
Harrison is 9.3 and Pointer is 8.3.
Yeah, and that's tough for me as I do like D'Angelo Harrison. I think he's going to have a good game, but again, I'm worried about the blowout. So the value there is just tough to project. So Dominic Pointer is a potentially interesting play. Again, just because he does a little bit of everything, he's not going to be the main scoring option, but he gets rebounds, he gets assists, he blocks shots. I mean, not quite like Chris Obekpa, but very few block shots like Chris Obekpa. He gets steals. He's a guy that is the definition of a multi-category contributor. But honestly, the guy I kind of like today from St. John's is Rashid Jordan. I think that as a little bit cheaper play that might get more burn if it does turn into a blowout with not only with the Stars but with the second unit too. I think Rashid Jordan could be an interesting play today from that game from the St. John's side.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at Rishi Jordan. He's 6K, so that's a favorable price. Had 22 in his last game. Um, he played bad against Villanova, but before that,
He, he was also just coming off from not playing too. He had to take some time off for family reasons too.
yeah, exactly.
And also against Villanova's guards, it's tough to play well because I mean that's probably the best backcourt in the country.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, but I like Rashid Jordan. I'm having trouble picking who I like, Harrison or Pointer. I probably lean Pointer because Harrison's so expensive,
Yeah,
and
my favorite expensive play of the day is in the nightcaps, and I like Joe Young a lot for Oregon. Teaser there.
so yeah, I wouldn't pay up for Harrison. It's possible, just because of the short slate. Um, there's a lot of cheaper guys. Obviously, we mentioned the highest priced guy in the last game. We talked about Indiana, Illinois is 7.1, so it's possible to get guys like Harrison in at 9.3, but I wouldn't suggest it. I don't think he hits value.
And back to your thing with a Bekba, how expensive is he tonight?
6.9.
Ooh, okay, that's not terrible. I always worry about Ibeka a little bit. The blocks are so dominant and help so much, especially on FanDuel. I mean, not he's really not a guy you ever want to play on DraftKings for the most part, just because they don't reward steals and blocks. But I always worry about the offensive production from Ibeka, but just with how terrible St. John's is, he might find his way to 10, 12 points just on putbacks and running the floor hard and just getting garbage buckets just from how bad DePaul is.
Yeah, Abekbo was the one guy that I really like from this game. Um, he's cheap, and the thing is, out of all of the forwards that are playing today, he's fifth in averaging fantasy points per game, but he's like eighth or ninth in price. So I think you probably, with having to fit so many forwards in your lineup, you probably have to play him because DePaul is pretty inept. I know they have their best some of their best guys are their forwards, but um, they're not really good. And I think Abekba can definitely get two, maybe three blocks. He's had games where he's got four, five, and six.
Yeah, this could be a big Abekpa block game. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, so in cash games, I would definitely use him. Other than last game where he got 8.5 against Providence, he's put up 22, 29, 20, 20, 40. Um, so I definitely like him because not a lot of players to pick from today, and when you have to fit five forwards in, um,
And with the dearth of good forwards in the Indiana Illinois game, I know we said we liked Egwu and Williams' plays, but again, it's still a very guard oriented game. Abekpa, decent play, especially with some of the games that are coming later.
exactly. And any interest in Phil Green at 5.8. He put up 30 last game.
I'm not a huge Phil Green fan. Yeah, he does get some shots, but he's the least efficient of the main guys on St. John's. So just generally a guy I tend to stay away from.
Yeah, maybe just a GPP play.
Yeah, there's interesting upside there, but I think the other guys tend to be safer.
Okay. What are you thinking from the DePaul side now?
I mean, DePaul's an intriguing team because again, they're not bad offensively. They have four guys that average between 11.5 and 13 points a game, which means there's plays here, but it also means that they've are balanced, so you could get interesting results on any given night. I kind of like Billy Garrett here
Yeah,
as
so
the best play, just because he's their main ball handler, their lead assist guy, but two of their other main scorers turn the ball over more. He's going to get rebounds too. He's their second leading scorer. Yeah, he shoots the lowest field goal percentage of their four main guys, but he's a good three-point shooter, and I think there's a lot to like about Billy Garrett here.
yeah, don't love a lot of guys from DePaul, but I totally agree. Love Billy Garrett. At only 6.3, I think he's a good play. Um, and he out of all the guys on this team, he's the most consistent. As you mentioned, he holds the ball the most. He gets the most usage. So obviously he's going to be the most consistent. He's had 29, 13, 22, 34, 26, 22. So if he can get in that, 24 to 27 range, that's a steal at 6.3.
And even though he shoots the lowest field goal percentage of any of the guys on DePaul, because of how good he is at three, over 40% shooter, he has the highest offensive rating of anybody on the team too, which is always a good sign. Just from the combination of holding on to the ball well, being a good three-point shooter. So again, Billy Garrett, the play here.
Anybody else you like?
Not particularly. I mean, Mike Henry's the highest usage guy on this team, but just not a whole lot I like. Again, the blowout thing worries me, so I would try to aim conservatively from the DePaul side.
Okay. Yeah, just looking at the game logs, I mean, Jamal Branch had 23 against Villanova, and they're good guards, but still, he's 4.5, so maybe as a flyer, but
Yeah,
uh,
not a whole lot here. I mean, if you want to pick Tommy Hamilton, Jamie Crockett, Mike Henry with just on balance, and you don't agree with my take on blowout here, I think it'd be fine. But again, with four guys that all average around the same amount of points, I like the consistency in Billy Garrett, and it's just project when teams are this balanced.
yeah, someone's gonna have to score, so I agree. I wouldn't mind throwing them in a GPP just in case, because high over under, very fast game still. So moving on. So a big break between the games. 6:30. UNC ranked 15 will take on the winless in conference Virginia
And
Tech.
one of the worst major conference teams in America, poor Buzz Williams.
So the
But
Hokies, who are 8-8, will take on the 13-4 uh, UNC in Chapel Hill, no less. So
no favors there.
yeah, um, not so good for Virginia Tech. 155 offense, 217 defense, mid-range pace. Um, and then you have UNC, and they're scary. 13th in offense, 20th in defense, and
And they play
17 pace.
fast.
Yeah, 17. So, and the line is 21. and the over/under is 148. So, ugh. uh, and most of those points are going to come from UNC. Um, Only injury that is worth noting is Joey Van Zegeren is out for Virginia Tech. He's indefinite. Um, so he's definitely not playing. Uh, so I guess we'll start with Virginia Tech. Does that make you want to play anybody since Vegron's out? Van Zegeren's out?
I mean, not really. This team is just bad, and this that just makes me want to play Kennedy Meeks, honestly, because you don't have that post presence there. And Van Zegeren's one of their better players, but this is just this has all the makings of an embarrassing blowout, and I would not touch anybody. Yeah, we say somebody has to score, but they don't have to score much.
Yeah, I think if you want to pick anybody from Virginia Tech, I think it's going to have to be guards. Um,
Yeah, Bibbs or Adam Smith, but even then, I would not do it.
I think the one I would definitely get would be Bibbs. Um,
Yeah, Bibbs is the best play, but again, I just think this is a beatdown.
he is only 5.5.
True, that is decent value, and he's going to get usage here. So, because Van Zegeren had the highest usage percentage on the team, Bibbs is second, so they do need to give the ball to somebody.
Um, so I guess Satchel Pierce will be taking over more of a role since Van Zegeren's out. He's
Yeah, but I mean, there's still not a lot to love there.
Yeah, he's min, so you could take a flyer on him. But
And the thing with Virginia Tech too is they're a really bad rebounding team too. They're going up against Carolina, who's a rebounding monster. They're going to get killed on the boards. I have this feeling, and it's just I not looking forward to their rebounding margin this season has been poor. There's not a lot to like here for even in the extra category other than points.
so what forwards do you like for UNC then?
The two guys I do like on UNC today are Kennedy Meeks. Again, usually very consistent. They throw the ball to him a lot. The only problem you have to worry about is foul trouble, but and the blowout too. But again, Joel James and Hubert aren't great, so they might rest him a little bit more. But I still think he gets 25 to 30 minutes, and he can be very productive, get a double double in those minutes. Because again, Carolina, great rebounding team for the most part, and Virginia Tech very poor on that end. And I actually like JP Tokoto a lot in this game. And I think that he could get more burn with units that aren't necessarily all starters, and because he does a little bit of everything, rebounds, gets assists, and is generally not super expensive. This is a game that I think that he gets a decent amount of shots and can impose his will athletically a little bit. So I like Tokoto in this.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Tokuto.
I also wouldn't mind Bryce Johnson either.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna mention. I like Bryce Johnson, and I actually like Justin Jackson a little bit. Um, Justin Jackson's only 5.5, um, and since it definitely is probably gonna be a blowout, he's gonna get more time. So I wouldn't mind playing Justin Jackson. And actually, if you look at his game log in games where they have blowouts, he actually puts up 25 on average.
Yeah,
So
I can get the Justin Jackson love today too. Again, the blowout factor is a big deal.
yeah, the only thing I wouldn't like about Kenny Meeks is he's 8. So
Yeah, that's a little expensive, but again, I think he's also probably one of the best expensive forwards today.
agreed. Yeah, agreed. And I'm not really loving anybody on the guard side of UNC really.
I don't love Marcus Page today. Again, blowout, and just I don't know that he's gonna hit his value. He's been kind of streaky all year.
Yeah, I only use him for GPP probably, and I don't have any love to play Nate Britt.
Yeah, no, just never play Nate Britt.
So I think we can move on to the next game.
Yeah,
Um,
15 minutes before the 1 o'clock game starts, so we should probably get this
oh
moving a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah. This is actually my favorite game of the night. Um,
Yeah, I think the Illinois Indiana is my favorite game of the night, but there's some good plays in this game.
yeah. So it's Oregon Washington Pac-12 action. Um, they're 12-5 Oregon, 12-4 Washington. Washington's a great team. 128 offense, 32 defense, so they're a great defensive team. Oregon's 72 offense, 126 defense, so very average. Um, and then pace is 47 for Oregon and 58 for Washington, so very fast game. And it's going to be in Alaska Airlines Center for Washington. It's a home game. The line's at 4 for Washington, and over-under is actually the lowest of the night, 141.5. Um, so there's that to consider. But I still love this game at 8:30.
Yeah, there's some really good plays among the starters for Oregon and Washington here.
Go ahead and start for Oregon
Uh,
then.
yeah, I already told you my favorite expensive guy of the night is Joe Young. How expensive is he though?
8.8.
Yeah, I think he's worth it tonight. He's got the highest usage rating of anybody on the slate at almost 27.5%. So he's going to get his volume. And I think this is just a game that they feed to him for the expensive guys. I love Joe Young tonight. I mean, he's a 20-point a game scorer, the leading scorer in the Pac-12 for a reason. He's pretty much been single-handedly keeping Oregon semi-relevant after they had the 9 guys leave the program this offseason.
Yeah, I like him. He's a good play.
I think Dylan Brooks and Elgin Cook are decent plays too. Dylan Brooks a little bit more, get a little bit higher usage, better passer, but again, the front line of Washington has one of the best rim protectors in the country in Robert Upshaw tonight, so I like the backcourt a little bit better tonight.
Yeah, I think Dylan Brooks is going to be on him, right?
Uh, yeah, probably maybe float around the outside a little bit more. He's more of a 4 than a 5, but still, the post matchup is not great for Oregon. Just Robert Upshaw is a commanding shot blocker, and Dylan Brooks is only 6'5" too, so he's not gonna be matching up with the big boys that much, but more of an inside-outside threat.
Yeah, I like your play of Young. The forward that I like, I'm not too scared about the matchup. So the forward I like is Jordan Bell the most. 6.1 compared to 6.7 for Brooks. And the reason why I like
And
him, God,
I was gonna say he's the best rebounder on the team.
yeah, he's the best rebounder on the team. And he's very consistent. You're gonna get a lot from him at 6.1. You're gonna definitely have value. You mean other than last game, he had 19, which isn't great, but before that, 25, 33, 25, 29, 23, 25. He's gonna be very consistent, and in cash games, that's what you want. And I would for sure lock him into a lineup.
See, I worry about usage. He's got a really kind of sad 12.3% usage rating. They just don't throw him the ball enough offensively, which is why I'm not a huge fan.
Okay. Um, so anybody else that you want to talk about on Oregon or
No, Joe Young's my play, and Dylan Brooks as a secondary play, but no, I think we can move on to Washington.
go ahead.
I mean, you can really never go wrong playing Nigel Williams-Goss, especially against this Oregon defense. I mean, he does everything. He's the leading assist man in the Pac-12. He even gets over 5 rebounds a game as a point guard. He's their leading scorer. Nigel Williams-Goss is a really nice play tonight, and I think Robert Upshaw again, just because Oregon, a more perimeter-oriented team. Upshaw can dominate the paint. He gets those block shots, which does raise his price. And I think Sean Kemp Jr. is another interesting forward play too.
Oh, the great Sean Kemp. I I like Robert Upshaw. Yeah, I like Upshaw a lot. Just because uh, you just mentioned that they play around the perimeter, Oregon a lot. So I like Upshaw down low. He's 8.7. Um,
Ooh, that is kind of expensive, but I mean, when you get those 4 blocks a game, that's going to raise your price.
yeah, he's averaging 4.5 blocks a game, 8 rebounds, 11 points. So
And he's shooting a really high field goal percentage, too, close to 60%. So, there is a lot to like about Robert Upshaw. I think the Washington forwards have a really nice matchup tonight. I mean, how much is Sean Kemp tonight, too?
he is 5.2.
Yeah, that's not bad for another guy that shoots a very high field goal percentage. Maybe doesn't have the usage of a guy like
Not a
Robert
great, not a
Upshaw.
not a great consistency either.
Yeah, but I just like the matchup today for Kemp for a cheaper play, especially in a GPP where you're looking for those guys that maybe aren't going to be as highly owned. I think Sean Kemp can be a decent play. And how much is Nigel Williams Goss tonight too?
Goss is 7.9.
That is actually pretty nice. That's a nice price for Nigel Williams Goss.
Yeah, I enjoy that price. The other thing I like, maybe Mike Anderson. He's put up 26 and 28 in the past 2 games, so in conference play he's been doing well. And he's 5.7. So I wouldn't mind
And he's
playing
their
him.
best perimeter shooter. I'm just glad you're not falling into the Andrew Andrews trap.
No, no way. I'm not playing
Yeah.
him. It's a terrible name too.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, that's pretty much what we have from that game. So that finishes off our slate with just 7 minutes left. So hopefully we didn't hold you too off. We had some technical difficulties.
Yeah, my
Um,
bad.
yeah, I know. But that's all from college basketball. Um, we have time, so we can do a little bit of other sports today.
I mean,
How do
have you put it in your lineup too and sent it out to the people that need it too?
No, I'm not doing lines today.
Ah, okay. Have
Yeah,
you made your own personal lineup yet though?
yeah. I did the college basketball.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't suggest doing anything other than college basketball today. I mean, I might throw something in NFL.
We'll see, but two game slates are always kind of tough.
Yeah, I might throw in
That
a
being
D.
said, there are some guys I like in the NFL today, but
Yeah, we can get into talking that. So 305 is a lock. Um, on a just basic perspective, who are your favorites?
I think Tom Brady is the quarterback to play today just because they showed the division game. They're not going to run the ball a lot, so I think they ran the ball 7 times in that game. Brady got 50 throws. That's going to happen again. I think that something very similar is going to happen again. Vontae Davis, a little banged up for the Colts, is their best cover guy. This is a game that I think Brady just throws a ton, and Luck and Rodgers are probably going to be higher priced than him. So I think this is a Brady day,
Yeah, Luck
and I
is
think you should
good.
and I think you should pair him with Gronk too. Far and away the best tight end today, and just use that matchup to your advantage in the passing game. I think receiver is the place to go cheaper today.
Yeah, I was gonna actually mention that. Luck's 9.2, Rogers 9.1, Brady 9.1, Russell is 8.9.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's all really bunched, but even with that, still, I would take Brady and probably Russell as my second choice.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because Luck actually has a career 8 interceptions against the Patriots. Um, and he only has four against the Titans, who he plays twice a year, and at most they play the Patriots once a year. Shows that, he doesn't play very well against the Patriots. Yes, it's just history, but with that, it's kind of a red flag in a way. So I wouldn't touch him, especially since every guy is so tight. I'd rather you go someone else. Aaron Rodgers scares me because of his injury.
He
Um,
looked great in the second half last week, though, so a little less, but again, only 1 week to recover this time. I think your money is best spent elsewhere. Spend it on
a little
Brady.
a little harder defense to face too.
True.
So I like Brady and Russell too. Um, Running back, I think there's only three guys you can play.
Yeah, don't touch the Patriots. Just don't. I mean, if you're feeling bold in a GPP, go ahead, but it's not my money.
Yeah, I'm kind of mad that everybody's doing the whole, Jonas Gray ran against them, 4 touchdowns, blah blah blah.
He didn't even play last week. He wasn't active. I'm not even sure he's going to be active again today.
Yeah, exactly. So
They showed their commitment to the run game is next to nothing in the game against Baltimore. And yeah, they were playing from behind a little bit too when they had to make that comeback, but
yeah, but Blunt still had
still,
he had 3 carries and 1 yard, so he finished with.
yeah, there's no reason to play Patriots running backs. I mean, I think you pay up for Marshawn today, and I would give Boom as my second running back.
That's what I would say as well. Obviously, Eddie Lacy's going to go against Seattle, who has a um, run defense. So I agree on that front.
And
Wide
just
receiver,
Lacy is more inconsistent. And you saw what I like about Boom Heron is you saw his use in the short passing game last week, and with sites being PPR, that's a huge boost.
yeah, yeah, he gets a lot of catches. I mean, he had 10 in the wild card game.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that's a massive boost to your point total. Because again, he's still getting 15 carries a game too, and he's being decently productive with that. And I'm more scared of the Patriots' pass defense, especially deep against guys like T.Y. Hilton, than the underneath passing game and the run game.
yeah. Um, I for wide receivers, I like T.Y. Hilton. I like Devonte Adams. Um,
Devontae Adams had a fantastic game last week. Just what he did after the catch was spectacular.
yeah, and I actually think that might be a reason why they fade Cobb in the free agency, maybe.
Yeah, I mean they were giving catches to Cobb too. They were finding ways to use him all over the field. They put him in the backfield a couple times. Man, they were trying to get him the ball though. They were using his versatility to their advantage. So I think they might maybe roll with the three because I mean when they had James Jones when he was playing well, they liked that too. And with the inconsistency they've been having at the tight end for a little bit, I think they keep all three.
Yeah, out of the three expensive guys, there's Jordy at 8.9, Cobb 8.8, and Ty at 8.2. I'd definitely play Hilton. Um, you saw what Baltimore could do still against that New England defense. I know Darrell Reeves and Brandon Browner are scary. Um,
And having McCourty as really nice help too, a little bit intimidating, but it's Patriots secondary or Seattle secondary. You know,
exactly.
Seattle secondary is still gonna win for intimidation.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind maybe Edelman or LaFette.
I think Doug Baldwin's a decent play today for a cheaper guy. My advice would be pay up for Gronk and skimp a little bit on the receiver position just because of some matchups. I don't think anybody on the Colts is going to be able to cover Gronk. He's just too difficult of a cover for a linebacker.
Yeah, I don't mind Jermaine Curse either. I think he might be a good play.
No, no Paul Richardson anymore towards ACL last week.
Yeah. So he might be a good play. And then that also brings in Ricardo Lockett into that slot role, so maybe you could go him. He's cheap.
I think LaFell is an interesting play too for the
hmm
Patriots.
What other tight ends would you be interested if you don't go with Gronkowski?
I mean, I don't love Luke Wilson. I don't love Corliss. Maybe one of the Colts tight ends, but again, there's two. I mean, do you pick Flynn or do you pick Dwayne Allen? I might lean towards Dwayne Allen, but
See,
I
I lean towards Kobe Fleener,
but
because Dwayne Allen got hurt towards the end of the
yeah,
season.
yeah, I would say Gronk and don't even think about it.
If you want to play a tight end, I'd say Kobe Fleener, or I'd put a flyer on Richard Rodgers if you want to go really cheap. He's actually gotten a lot of targets.
I got
Really
a touchdown in
good.
the last game.
Yeah, so if you're gonna go cheap, I'd go Richard Rodgers or Kobe Fleener. Um, and New England's not good against tight ends, so that would make me want to play Fleener.
No, I think the indie game is the game to target for tight ends.
And kicker, I'd probably go with Vinatieri or Gostkowski. Sorry, um, because I think that's probably going to be a kicking matchup, honestly.
I don't know. I don't have a real great read on kicker today. I think that you're pretty fine with any of them. That I might just
Yeah,
go cheap.
I agree. Maybe Mason Crosby because Seattle
Yeah,
will stop them in the red zone.
I mean, I think both. I think everyone has the opportunity to kick two or three field goals today. That's just that type of day.
Yeah, so really anybody there. Defense, I'd either go Seattle or the Patriots. Uh,
Yeah, I agree.
I'd probably go Patriots, honestly. They're cheaper. They're 400 cheaper, so saves you 400 to put somewhere else. Um, and as I mentioned before, Luck has thrown 8 interceptions against the Patriots in his
And Green
career.
Bay's offense a little bit more explosive.
Yeah, and
The only thing that I will say is that if you are a big believer that Rodgers is not healthy at all, pay up for the Seahawks.
okay, and then with the Patriots too, Boom Herron actually is fumbles a lot. Um, he fumbled in the wild card game, but he and I think he actually fumbled twice, but he recovered one of the fumbles. Um, so that might be something to keep your eye out on too. Uh, and then so for that, I think GPP definitely. I mean, you can honestly throw in a couple lineups, $1 GPPs, $2 GPPs, and
And you're
you
probably going to cash.
yeah, so it's not a bad strategy, not a bad day to play. It's just not.
It depends on your bankroll too.
Yeah, I don't really enjoy doing it either. I don't like playing.
For smaller time players, I would not necessarily recommend this as a slate to target.
Yeah, if you have a lot of money, I think that I would probably throw in 4 lineups, and I'd throw in one of the quarterbacks in every single lineup, and that's what I
Yeah,
would do.
and if you have the money to do that, that's great. And you can hit almost every play that you like. One of those lineups is probably going to do decent.
Yeah, and then you can go cheap at running back, get expensive wide receivers, and then do a
Yeah,
lineup where it's reverse. So one with Gronk, one without. So for GPP, you could do almost anything because it's such a short slate. So I don't mind that.
yeah.
NBA is at 3:30. Uh,
It's kind of rough today too.
yeah, I don't like it. Um, let me check the injury news right now. Right now, the games are Toronto, New Orleans at 3:30, OKC, Orlando at 6, and then Utah, San Antonio at 7. So blowout potential in every single game. Um,
Yeah. And I'm assuming that New Orleans still has their injury concerns that they had the past couple games.
yeah, that is actually what I'm looking for right now.
Yeah, that is concerning. Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hello? Okay. No, but yeah, this is kind of rough because on top of the risk of blowouts, you also have the risk of getting popped tonight, which is never fun. So always bad when there's blowout potential, a short slate, and a game involving the Spurs as one of those that is a blowout.
Yeah, yeah. So
I am not in love with any of this. Really, I would say stay away. But if you do need some plays, uh, wow, I'll let you start this one off just so I can wrap my head around how miserable this slate is.
well, if you need some plays, at point guard, I wouldn't mind Kyle Lowry. He'll be going against Brian Roberts if Kemba Walker doesn't play. Not a great defender, so I wouldn't mind that. And you know, I don't think Tony Parker's such a bad play against Trey Burke. Also not a great defender. He hasn't been putting up a lot of points, but he's very consistent. Wouldn't mind that as a play at point guard. Um, with Drew out, maybe one of the backups, but I think Tyreek and um, Eric Gordon are going to get most of the hits for that. If Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday are out again. The good thing about that too is that that's the first game, so you'll know for sure if they're going to play or not. So that helps.
This
Um,
is just rough. This might be a game to target some of the cheaper bench guys too. I could see in the Toronto game going after a Gravis Vasquez or a Lou Williams, expecting it to
Sweet
be
Lou. Yeah,
expecting it to be a blowout and just trying to clean up on garbage points because that might not be a bad strategy. That I kind of like DeMar DeRozan too at shooting guard. I'm really liking the Raptors backcourt tonight. Just any one of them, I don't think if you make it work.
yeah, I agree. And with DeRozan back, obviously that takes out a lot of the love that I had before for like um, James Johnson, Terrence Ross, Amir Johnson, and Valanciunas. Their usage goes down a ton when DeRozan's in the lineup. So I
Get
don't, I
the
don't
wrong
like them.
guards.
Yeah. Um, maybe maybe Amir Johnson. He's cheap. And he's going to be playing Ryan Anderson. So,
Still, he's a guy that is more valuable in real life than he is in fantasy.
yeah, I agree.
And
So, I think Tyreek.
The Ryan Anderson matchup's an interesting one because they just have both very contrasting styles. Anderson likes to float around the perimeter. Johnson, more that inside banger, likes to set screens and plays a much more physical game.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting game to watch. Um, moving on to OKC Orlando. You know, Russell Westbrook had an insane game the other night, putting up putting up a triple double with
The
more than 15 in every category.
That was a thing of beauty to watch. Durant wasn't missing shots either, and Ibaka killed it too.
Yeah, so we got to watch that whole game. That was a good one.
It was entertaining. Very fast paced, and I would expect more of the same today. Orlando plays pretty quick, and Aaron Gordon's back right now.
Yeah, I think he is. Let me
Um,
check.
I hope so.
He was not active last night, but
Bill.
maybe you play today.
Yeah,
That'll be
I
fun.
don't know. Vooch is actually a guy I like today, just because Oklahoma City not so great at the center position, going up against Steven Adams, Kendrick Perkins. Vooch has been killing it this year. I highly advocate if you're gonna play today, play Vooch.
Which cheap guy do you like more? Do you like Durant or Westbrook?
Cheap guy. Oh, when did they become cheap? But
Um, I mean expensive guy. Which one would you rather pick?
I'd probably lean towards Durant today.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Especially with Tobias Harris out. Um,
Yeah, I mean Mo Harkless playing a lot again. It's just I don't love it.
yeah, Mo Harkless really isn't playing that much either. It's more Channing Frye, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, just minus defenders, not what you really want.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind Dion Waiters.
Yeah, he played well. He's getting some shot volume running in the second. He and Anthony Morrow were the guys outside of the big three that were scoring against Golden State. And I kind of like Oladipo a little bit today too.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting play. But I think Waiters finally has found his home, and they're letting him
Yeah,
shoot a lot.
he looked confident running the second unit and being the primary scorer, kind of maybe taking a Jamal Crawford role.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. I like that. Not a big fan of Ibaka. Not really.
Yeah, I mean he's an okay player today, but there's guys I like better.
Yeah. Um, Not really any other cheap guy I like. Mm, Maybe Reggie Jackson, but
But even
Jim
then,
Mullen loves that.
With
Yeah,
Waiters here, Waiters is outplaying him.
yeah, and there's always the scary chance that he might get traded. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been scared of that every single night now since the Dion Waiters thing. I picked Waiters that night because he had a game in Philly. He was home, and he had a great matchup without any of the big guys.
My
Um,
favorite thing about that, though, was that Scoop Jardine broke the news of the trade on Twitter.
yeah,
It's
so
what's wonderful about sports.
yeah,
I love everything about that.
I was so mad about that. So I've been scared of trades every night. So that's just me being
And I
a
mean,
little
with
paranoid.
the Brook Lopez rumors still kind of hanging around this Oklahoma City
Yeah,
team, you know, yeah, there's guys that are definitely safe, but
yeah,
just
I wouldn't worry about Durant or Westbrook
yeah, and I probably wouldn't worry about Waiters,
or
probably wouldn't
Ibaka.
worry or Ibaka, and probably not Anthony Morrow either.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I'd ever play Anthony Moore though.
Hey, 3-point shooters need love too.
That's true. And then final game on the slate, San Antonio, which you never know what's gonna happen with them, and then
Get popped.
Utah.
Uh, um, hmm. This is a tough one. And you probably have to go one of the Utah trio in the front court between Gobert, Cantor, and Favors, but I don't necessarily love it. And for the Spurs, I'm kind of feeling maybe a Kawhi day, but again, this is
See, but he could sit out because, he played last game was his first game.
yeah.
He
And
actually played a lot of minutes, so this could be a game where they
did
rest
they
him.
play last night too?
No.
Okay, so at least it's not a back-to-back, which would be more concerning. But the might be an interesting day for some of the Spurs role players, guy like Patty Mills or Danny Green, maybe.
See, the concerning thing for me is that it's at 7 and it locks at 3:30.
Yeah,
So I can't fall in love with any guys from the guys that I like from San Antonio. I would play guys that for sure are gonna play. The
yeah,
guys that don't really get popped that much, which aren't a lot,
yeah.
but That's what you have to do on a 3 game slate. You gotta just
Yeah,
trust.
what do you like about Utah today?
I like Derek Favors.
Yeah, I would say of the three, like I said, you probably have to play one. Favors is probably the best play. Gobert
He's
Cantor.
been playing great ball too. He's got six. He's averaging 16 points, 9 rebounds, 1.5 blocks, and he's getting a couple steals here and there, couple assists here and there. He's really filling the stat sheet. He's been hitting the 35 mark almost every single night that he's playing. So he's playing great basketball, and the he's against Tim Duncan, but that doesn't really scare me. Um,
Yeah, I mean, Timmy D is still a great defender, but he's a step slower than
but also in
Favors is.
NBA, I don't worry too much about one-on-one matchups.
Yeah,
Just
I
a
mean,
little bit, but
The Spurs team defense is still good though, but Cantor and Gobert cut into each other's minutes a bit more than Favors do. So I like Favors and just again the other guys that are going to be on it. I mean, Tiago Splitter, Aaron Baines, Jeff Ayres, potentially Matt Bonner. I mean, the Spurs front court it's more team defense than individual defense.
yeah. Um, Actually, the one guy that I just saw that I think is a good play is Patty Mills at 4.2.
Yeah, and I said Patty Mills and Danny Green could be interesting today.
Yeah, he had 22. He had 18 points, regular points, and then 22 fantasy
I
last
mean,
game.
he's a really good bench scorer. I mean, one of the best in the league.
Yeah, and on a night where you might get popped, because Tony Parker's been hurt, you know,
You never know how much money he's going to play.
the thing is he's still going to get time no matter what, even if the guys are playing, and he's
Yeah, I
still
mean,
good
he's
bench
still going to
there.
get like 20 minutes.
So for 4.2, you could, still get maybe 20 points from him, which is pretty good on a night like this. And then there's the chance of people getting popped, which is an added bonus. Um, so I like Patty Mills, and
And
that's
just Utah's terrible perimeter defense.
exactly. So that's all I really have for NBA. Um, Hopefully, we will get back to selling lineups tomorrow. I know NBA should be good tomorrow. Mondays are always pretty good, so lineups will probably be available on Monday for MLK. Um, and
And that means we get afternoon basketball too.
that is true. And maybe some college basketball. I'll have to look at the slate. I'm not sure what it is right
Yeah,
now.
I don't know anything off the top of my head.
So I hope everybody enjoys the NFL games today. They should be pretty good games, and stick around to wait and see if there will be lineups tomorrow and what they will be. And hopefully we can do another one of these soon. I had fun doing it. Obviously we went like an hour, pretty long, but it was fun. I had
Yeah,
fun. Yeah, I hope everything works out for you today. I don't recommend playing too much today, but should be fun. So thanks, and please check out DFS Express if you haven't yet. I appreciate you being on the show, Josh.
yeah. Thanks for having me.
And that is all for Express Live today. See you around.